Okay, so I'm here with Debbie Dunbar, and Debbie's going to talk about containment today. I guess a reminder on how to use it, and also how to wrap it up, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah. So with the containment exercise, it's, as with any activity, it's really only helpful when we use it. And so one of the things that can be helpful is if we use the container on a regular basis.
and why do you
And
use it? Are you going to tell us a little bit why one would use a container and all that?
yes, yes, absolutely. A container is somewhere that we could set aside thoughts, ideas, body sensations, worries, judgments, criticism, images, anything that actually we can't focus on right now and give our attention to.
Okay.
If right now is not the time to give our attention to something, we can simply set it aside into our container. And the brain is perfectly capable of setting things aside and retrieving them whenever we need to use it for whatever is in front of us. And so by utilizing the container, what we're able to do is stay more present and in the moment and basically do that task that's at hand right in front of right where we're at right here, right now,
Okay.
to do the task in front of us. So one of the things that I've heard people ask me about is, how do I use my container and what if something won't go into my container? Well, the way that we use the container is we actually focus on what the container looks like in as much detail as possible. So, for example, one of the ladies I work with, her container is a safe. And so the question is, how do I use my safe? Well, the way we use the safe is we actually look at it, we imagine it in detail, like in our minds. We get a mind's eye, a picture, mental picture of the safe.
Okay.
We really look at it and we just simply ask ourselves, is there anything I could set aside for now into my container that I could retrieve whenever I'm ready to work with it? And we basically just imagine the container, and we just imagine setting anything aside that I don't need right now. Any criticisms, judgments, thoughts, fears, etc. Just set them aside. And usually that takes right about 20 to 30 seconds, if that. What I hear a lot of people report is like this band around their head, kind of relaxation in their head. Some people report a relaxation in their chest. And then once we've noticed that relaxation, we go back to our safe word, which is the something else that we've worked on is a safe state. So you might say to yourself, relaxed. And then you do whatever's in front of you. Then you go back to the task that's in front of you. And so one of the ways to get proficient at utilizing a container and a safe state word is to use it on a regular basis, because that which we practice is strengthened and confirmed. So one way to do it is at night before you go to sleep, just imagining your container. Once you get into bed and you're ready to go to sleep, imagine your container and see if there's anything that you could set aside. And then say your word, relaxed, relaxed and ready, calm, whatever your word is. And then ask yourself what it would be like if I were sleeping right now, for example. Then in the morning when you wake up, you might use your container again. You might imagine the safe, if that's, whatever your container looks like. See if there's anything left over from the night that you'd like to set aside until you're ready to work on it or focus it. Use your safe state word, and then go about your day. And sometimes I even recommend people to do that at lunchtime to see if there's anything during the first half of the day that they could set aside. And as we practice this with intention in the beginning, what happens is we start to notice ourselves, many report that we start to notice that whenever something's upsetting us that's not going on right now, we can imagine our container, set it aside, say our safe state word, and then do what's in front of us.
Okay. One idea I had on the container, I think I heard is, because I use the safe idea, vault and all that. But you can also imagine a real nice box or a purse or a vase. That idea.
Had a lot of different people with a lot of different containers. I've had the safe. Um, One lady has a train. It's her container. Well is a common container.
Oh, really?
Um, uh-huh. If you could see over my shoulder up here, you'll see a basket. Over, I guess it's my left shoulder up here.
Over there. Okay. Yeah, with
Uh-huh.
Scooby in
Some
it or
people use
something?
that. Yeah,
Oh,
I have a couple. I call them my guard stuffed animals. They're
okay.
protectors, right?
Okay.
Cute. Some people leave things here in my office, and that's their container. I've had reports of a Tupperware, file cabinets, a silo, a windmill, a box. So a container can be anything that you can visually imagine. So you're setting aside anything that's upsetting, that's not happening right now, that you can't give your whole focus and attention to.
Okay. And then the one idea is that the brain. I guess when I did it myself, the container just seemed like thoughts and ideas just started flowing into this container for a little bit. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the brain was
Yeah.
okay, wanted to let it go, I guess.
Yeah, the brain really wants to set things aside. And so one of the things I've had some people ask me is like, I have this one image and it won't go in my container. And it's almost as though it's like you're trying to put a purple cow in the container, right? Well, if I keep trying to put a purple cow in the container, I'm thinking about that purple cow, so it's not going to go there. But if I imagine the container and ask myself if there's anything I could set aside, just for now, it seems to float in there a little bit easier. So many times when we try really hard, that's what gets in the way. But if we look at it, imagine it, when I say look at it, it's not as though we're actually looking at it right now. We're imagining it in our mind's eye, what the container looks like.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a container, right? Well, I guess there can be in your office or picture, but we're talking about a mental
Yeah,
image of a container in your mind, right?
an imaginative container, because our imagination works incredibly. And it usually works with pictorial images. And so if we can imagine a picture of a container and just see if there's anything we could set aside right now.
And then do you use bilateral stimulation with the container?
When I first started using the container, I did use bilateral. The most recent training I attended with Katie O'Shea, she recommended that we don't use bilateral with the container. And so lately I've been experimenting without bilateral stimulation, and I'm finding that it works just fine without it. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's been my experience too.
Mhm.
And then the safe state, that's something you develop with clients in your office, right?
Correct, yeah. In the
But
office, we develop the container and the safe state.
but if people were watching this video and they didn't, do the safe state exercise with you, they could still imagine a safe, calm place. Can you talk about that idea? What would so say someone who hasn't been to your office, but they want to do the container and then they want to have safe state? What would they do?
That's a great question. The container activity, the way we set that up is we ask, imagine a container that could hold any disturbing or upsetting thing.
Uh-huh.
What would that container look like?
Okay.
And they just allow themselves to imagine that in as vivid detail as possible.
Okay.
And it could be any of those things that we discussed. And then imagine setting aside anything that's not happening right now, anything that's upsetting, and just kind of experimenting with that and seeing if that works. So that's kind of how we set up the container. Sometimes it happens quickly. Sometimes it's very helpful to have another person to go through that with you if you get stuck. The safe state activity is something that we do use bilateral stimulation with. And so to kind of do that for yourself, it's possible. And there's other therapeutic modalities that also use that. It's like a visualization technique.
Right, so they could just visualize feeling safe or allowing themselves to relax.
Well, they're two separate things. You've got your safe place, which people kind of talk about their happy place, their safe place, their on the beach place. And that's one thing, right? You're imagining somewhere that you go where it's safe and comfortable and you feel okay, calm comforted, safe, secure, right?
Okay.
The safe state activity is a little bit different.
Okay.
The safe state activity is for you to actually be able to look around and notice that there's actually nothing happening that's dangerous right here, right now. So we're tapping into a state in our body and in our experience in the moment. So it's a little bit different than safe place activity.
Right, but so, and what I'm thinking is somebody watching this who just hasn't been to a therapist to do a safe state,
Uh-huh.
they could they could look around their setting right now and just see if it's safe,
Yes,
and
one of
just
the ladies I work with, she calls a safety check is the, I like her
okay,
term for that.
okay,
And basically what we do is we use our eyeballs, which is where we gather information the quickest and the fastest, right? And we kind of actually look around the room, and I like to say it's as though we're looking to see if there's any tigers in the room,
okay,
if there's anything here that can harm us or attack us, right?
okay.
And so when we look around the room and we notice that there's nothing that could harm us in the moment, then we kind of know, okay, so there's no immediate threat. And then we basically look around and make sure that if we're indoors, the walls work just fine and the ceiling works so that we know that we're protected from the outside. And then what's also very important is we have access to clothing. So we look around if we're out and about and we have clothing or access to clothing. That lets us know that we're safe. And then the last question is we ask ourselves if we have access to food and water. So we look around and make sure our basic needs, survival needs, are met. And so we just ask ourselves in this moment, is it okay to feel safe when I am safe? Like right now, when nothing bad is happening and I'm basically safe, all my needs are met.
So
And we just
right
ask
there is
ourselves.
where you in your office you would do bilateral stimulation,
With
but
that, yes, with
but
yeah,
someone on their own wouldn't necessarily need that. They could just ask
they
themselves, is it safe, okay to feel safe when I am safe, and just see if they can let themselves relax into it.
and
No?
there are some people who don't have a lot of years of accumulated trauma and a lot of hyper-stimulated arousal states,
Okay.
right?
All right.
That can say, well, of course I feel that way. And it's very easy and natural for them. Some people who've gone through a lot of difficult life experiences, some intense traumatic experiences, it might not be as intuitive. And so that it would help to have some assistance with the safe state activity. Because the truth
Okay.
is, there's some people that have been through such difficult life experience that it's not okay to feel safe when they are safe because that hasn't been their reality. So people like that would probably need some help.
So is
People
there
with that
anything
kind of,
they could do, or they just have to?
well, one of the best things they could do is find a counselor and
No,
come
I
in
mean
and get
without
some
doing
help.
it. Right, but I mean without doing that.
Well, I kind of almost want to share that the people who have been through a lot of repeated difficult life experiences are already um, doing the best they can with what they have. So in some ways, they are able to function, many of them, right? Um, I kind of hear what you're asking me, and I'm not quite exactly sure how to answer that. I guess the best
Okay.
way for someone to do would be the safety check to kind of look around and make sure all their needs are met. Literally look to see if there's anything dangerous in the situation that's going on right now. And if the answer is no, just ask themselves, is it okay to feel safe when I am safe, like right now, when nothing bad is happening? Now, I'm holding my computer, or I would be able to demonstrate the butterfly hug or the puppy dog taps. And since you have two hands available, can you demonstrate the butterfly hug?
Sure, but I don't know.
Yeah,
So here's the
that's like
people do that. I don't know if that's anyway, and then they go like this. So
uh-huh.
then you could
And so what you
imagine.
would do
Go ahead.
is you would ask yourself, is it okay to feel safe when I am safe, like right now, when there's nothing dangerous? And then you would do the butterfly hug.
Okay, I would do like that, and just let myself calm. Which that is
Yeah,
calming, by
and
the
just,
way.
hmm hmm
Okay.
and you would do that 8 to 10 times, nice slow taps.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking people could watch this. You can do the container exercise, and you could go to any kind of calm exercise or idea that you know about, or even just learned about, and just calm
Yeah.
yourself as best you can.
Mhm.
If you can't calm
Mhm.
yourself, then that's good information as well, right?
Yes, yes. And I'm looking for that book. Francine Shapiro wrote a book called Getting Past Your Past. And in that book, Getting Past Your Past, she has a lot of other activities that a person can read about and practice to create a safe space as well, some calming strategies.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's wrap up now, I think. Any closing
Yeah.
thoughts? Got any closing ideas?
I think that what I would really like to close with is that, again, the safe state and the container activities can be very helpful resources, and they help us to stay present and in the moment and do the tasks that are in front of us. And they work more effectively when we use them on a regular basis, meaning on a daily basis. Because when we practice it, we know that it works, so that when we get into a situation where we're distressed, we can do what we've already practiced. If we don't use it on a regular basis, we're probably not going to think about using it when we're distressed.